Have you ever wondered what happened to something that simply vanished without a trace? Mysteries surround us more than we realize. While most disappearances have logical explanations, some cases remain stubbornly unsolved despite decades of investigation. Today, we're exploring extraordinary mysteries that continue to baffle experts and enthusiasts alike. Welcome to the World Documentaries, where we dive deep into the unexplained. Throughout history, certain events have defied conventional understanding, leaving investigators with more questions than answers. From impossible thefts to bizarre encounters in remote wilderness, these cases challenge our perception of what's possible. Before we begin this journey into the unknown, please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss our fascinating explorations into history's greatest puzzles. The Impossible Heist, Indianapolis, 1974. Picture a 5-ton steel wrecking ball suspended 200 feet in the air, attached to a construction crane. Now imagine that ball completely disappearing overnight without leaving a single trace. This isn't fiction, it actually happened in Indianapolis during the summer of 1974, and nobody has ever explained how the Dowling Construction Company workers arrived at their demolition site one morning to find their massive wrecking ball had vanished entirely. No damage to the crane, no tire tracks on the ground, no crater where it might have fallen. The metal itself was worth approximately $800, hardly enough to justify the elaborate operation required to steal such an enormous object. Police investigated thoroughly but found absolutely no leads, no witnesses, and no evidence of how anyone could have moved something weighing as much as multiple automobiles without sophisticated equipment or leaving obvious signs behind. Voices from the wilderness. The Ostman account. Deep in the mountains of British Columbia in 1924, prospector Albert Ostman experienced something that would haunt him for decades. While searching for a rumored lost gold mine, he camped near Toba Inlet, only to discover that someone or something was consistently raiding his food supplies each night. What happened next would become one of the most detailed and controversial wilderness encounters ever documented. According to Ostman's testimony, he was carried away in his sleeping bag by an unknown creature and transported for hours through rugged terrain. When dawn broke, he found himself surrounded by a family of 4 beings covered entirely in hair, standing between 7 and 8 feet tall. These creatures kept him captive for 6 days before he managed to escape by firing his rifle and startling them. Ostman waited years before sharing his story, fearing ridicule. Yet the specific details he provided matched other independent reports from the same region during that era. A slip through time. The Versailles incident in 1901. Two respected English educators, Anne Mobley and Eleanor Jourdain, visited the Palace of Versailles during a holiday in France. What began as an ordinary historical tour transformed into one of the most debated cases of temporal displacement ever recorded. Both women independently described experiencing identical strange phenomena during their walk through the palace grounds. The teachers claimed they witnessed people dressed in late 18th century clothing, walked along pathways that no longer existed, and encountered a woman they later identified as Marie Antoinette herself, painting in a garden. Most remarkably, they specified the date as August 10, 1792, exact day the royal family fled the palace. Years later, after studying historical records and period paintings, they realized the palace they explored didn't match the 1901 version, but rather the layout from over a century earlier. Despite skepticism and alternative explanations involving costume parties, both women maintained their account until their deaths, leaving historians and paranormal researchers debating the possibilities. Terror at Ape Canyon. The 1924 encounter. Mount St. Helens in Washington state witnessed one of America's most terrifying wilderness encounters when Fred Beck and his mining crew faced something unprecedented. The prospectors had been finding enormous human-like footprints around their remote cabin for weeks, initially dismissing them as pranks. Then, one afternoon during lunch, Beck spotted a massive creature watching them from behind a tree. The creature stood approximately 8 feet tall with partially human features but covered entirely in hair. Beck shot at it, and later that day encountered another similar being near a canyon edge. That night, at least 2 creatures launched a sustained 5-hour assault on the cabin, pounding the roof and walls, attempting to break through, and even wedging their hands between the logs to tear the structure apart. The miners fired repeatedly through gaps in the walls, but the creatures persisted relentlessly. When morning finally came, the ground surrounding the cabin was torn up with massive footprints everywhere. Beck and his entire crew immediately abandoned the site, their equipment, and their mining claims, never to return. The power of belief. A tragic superstition in the Congo during 1682. Italian missionary Father Jerome documented a case that demonstrates the extraordinary influence belief can have over the human body. A young man named Zuri attended a sleepover where his friend prepared breakfast using a wild hen act, strictly forbidden by local tribal superstitions for young people. Zuri's friend deliberately lied, assuring him the hen came from a farm rather than the wild. Years passed without incident until the two friends met again. And during conversation, the friend casually mentioned the truth about that long-ago breakfast. Upon learning he had unknowingly violated the taboo, Zuri began trembling violently. Within 24 hours, despite no apparent medical cause, he was dead. Medical professionals struggle to explain how psychological shock alone could cause such rapid physiological collapse. This documented case raises profound questions about the mind-body connection and whether beliefs can literally become self-fulfilling prophecies with fatal consequences. The vanishing of Emma Fillipoff. A modern mystery. Emma Fillipoff was a free-spirited young woman from Ontario, Canada, who loved art, music, and adventure. After teaching English in China and attempting a photography career, she settled in British Columbia, working at a restaurant while living in a converted van. However, her behavior gradually became increasingly erratic and concerning to those who knew her. In November 2012, Emma moved into a women's homeless shelter despite having sufficient savings and a functional vehicle. She deleted all her social media accounts, exhibited signs of paranoia, and repeatedly changed her mind about major decisions, booking trips home only to cancel them hours later. On the day she disappeared, her mother was flying in to help her, but when Emma learned of this, she immediately left the shelter. She was last seen outside the Empress Hotel, where police briefly questioned her after a concerned friend called them. Despite appearing distressed and barefoot, she convinced officers she was fine. The moment they left, Emma walked away and has never been seen since, leaving behind numerous unanswered questions. These extraordinary cases remind us that despite our technological advancement and scientific understanding, certain mysteries remain frustratingly unsolved. From vanishing industrial equipment to unexplained wilderness encounters, from possible time slips to tragic disappearances, these stories challenge our assumptions about what's possible. Each case leaves us with uncomfortable questions that resist easy answers. What makes these mysteries particularly compelling isn't just their strange nature, it's that they involve real people, real events, and real consequences that continue affecting lives today. Emma Fillipoff's family still searches for answers. The creatures at Ape Canyon were never identified. The wrecking ball was never recovered. These aren't merely entertaining stories, they're genuine unsolved puzzles that deserve serious consideration and continued investigation. We'd love to hear your thoughts on these cases. Have you experienced something unexplainable? Do you have theories about any of these mysteries? Share your experiences and ideas in the comments below. We read every single one. If you enjoyed this exploration into the unexplained, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the World Documentaries for more fascinating deep dives into history's greatest mysteries. Together, we'll continue uncovering the strange, the unexplained, and the truly mysterious aspects of our world. Until next time, stay curious.